speech. When I say gun, you say laws. Gun, laws, gun, laws.
Thousands of students are expected to walk out of their schools, a mass protest across the nation against gun violence.
While it's always been a topic of debate, the March 14th nationwide school walkout calling for stricter gun control laws has made the question, should students be involved in politics, an even bigger controversy.
I think students absolutely should be involved in politics because a lot of the issues that we're talking about are issues that not only will affect them in the future once they leave high school and become adults and navigate the adult world. But if you're talking about issues that have been at the forefront of our discussions recently, like school shootings, that's something that affects students right now.
In regards to walkouts and things like that, I think it's good for students to, in a controlled way, express their free speech rights or express their points of view to a point.
Well, I definitely think they should be involved in politics because, I mean, it's what drives the country. It's what creates the framework of rules that we have, and I feel like so many people are in disagreement with the rules. They don't like the rules and they complain about the rules, but yet they don't do anything about it by being politically active and being engaged and helping shape the rules. So yeah, I think it's vital for people to be involved.
Even though there's a general consensus that students should be involved in politics, there is still plenty of opposition to student walkouts and political protests of the like.
I don't feel that any walkouts or protests, for me personally, are helpful. Okay. I think I challenged the students who organized that to organize a bake sale to purchase, to give political contributions to their elected officials, because that's what works. I think a protest, just a protest, doesn't send the message. A protest done in a way that sends a very targeted and clear argument to an elected official as to why they should vote a certain way, through writing, through phone calls, things like that, I think that's an appropriate protest. But to walk out for the sake of walking out, I don't think there were any elected officials who were impacted by that at all. They didn't hear the message, right? They didn't, their lives were not impacted at all, other than reading something in the newspaper and looking at it and going, oh, those kids did that.
Because kids should not be used to advance political agendas, anyone's. Why? Because they're children. They're not old enough to have the perspective that adults do. That's why we don't let them vote or drink, or if today's protesters have their way, buy guns. And so it's wrong to exploit them, which, by the way, is exactly what is being done to them today, what the left is doing and has always done, from Mao's Red Guards to right now.
I think that they're incredibly valuable, not only because I agree with the message that they're putting forth, again, that students should be taking action to ensure a safe environment in schools free from the fear of gun violence, but also because I think it's a really good way for students to apply concepts that they're learning about. I mean, you participate in these actions, and you're learning about civil disobedience and freedom of speech and freedom to assemble, and all of these ways that like civil society actors, so people who aren't politicians, can get involved in politics. You might be talking about that in a class, or that's like a really important concept in American civics, and to see that in action and be in the midst of it is really important.
So how should students be politically involved? How should we really be teaching kids about politics in school?
I think that students in class should be discussing political issues. However, I think they should be discussing both sides of a political issue, and more importantly, they should be studying those issues or talking about those issues from a philosophical basis. I think sometimes we get caught into the sort of demonizing that happens that adults tend to do in discussions without understanding that there are political philosophies that aren't as extreme as they're always portrayed on either side of the discussion. And those political philosophies are what should be taught and should drive those discussions rather than just a base gut reaction to those things.
When current political things come up in class, how do you facilitate that type of conversation?
Well, you got to look at it on an issue-by-issue basis. You define the issue, then you need to look at the related facts with that issue, and then you got to look at the perspectives of all players that have stakes in the issue. Once you get to that point and you've looked at all that information, you can kind of lay your cards on the table, and then everybody's versed and ready for an open discussion about it.
I think it's really important for students to have discussions with their peers about current issues. Like, again, using the example of gun violence and the dialogues that have started surrounding that. But any issue that's sort of at the forefront of discussion in our national political climate is something that I think it's really beneficial for students to be able to discuss in school, in a setting where they're being encouraged to draw their arguments from facts and reasoning, and to participate in discussions in a way that is civil and that appreciates other viewpoints, rather than their first exposition to political debate and discussion being a Facebook comment section.
But why would students ever want to get involved when these type of Facebook comments and other oppositions from older generations are all that awaits them? Despite this, some still rise up to be involved, protest, and stand up for what they believe in, and it is them who we all must follow.